2021 is around the corner. If you want to know how to save money by filing your homestead on this property that you have here in Florida, stay tuned to this episode.
Really, Mary?
Makes me laugh every time. I'm Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group at Premier Plus Realty, and you are watching The Really Mary Show. Today I have a great guest that by popular demand, many people are asking about the benefits of moving to Florida with taxes. So I thought I'd bring on my tax advisor, Craig Couture from Couture Financial Services. Craig, good morning, and thank you for joining us on The Really Mary Show.
Really, Mary? Thank you.
I love it. Thank you.
Very much appreciate it.
For sure.
And
so,
the intro.
You know, Craig, it's really, we get this question a lot from folks because they're coming from other parts of the country where there's a high tax base,
Sure.
both property and income. And I thought it would be beneficial for them to hear a quote from the horse's mouth from my tax advisor as to what's happening and what's the benefit with Florida.
Well, there's a great benefit in that we're considered a tax shelter state. And what that simply means is we do not have a state income tax for individuals. And contrast that to some of the more higher tax states like Illinois, New York, California. Understand California is as high as 13%. So if you're moving from California to US, you're going to have a savings of 13% right from your tax bill. And so
wow. And for someone that's retired,
Pardon?
right? For somebody that's retired, that's huge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we've found, and based on my experience, this is very favorable to move to Florida and make it your domicile and make it your residence for tax purposes. And really, simply what that means is taxpayers move to the state and they do a number of things to demonstrate to the tax authority that they are, in fact, a Florida resident. And so it really doesn't matter other than for homestead exemption filing purposes for your property tax. The state, as far as filing a domicile for the state, as we have no income tax, you know, the state of Florida is not going to be looking real closely at the requirements to be a state resident. However, you want to solidify that residency for the state that you just moved out of. So Illinois would not be able to go forward and attach your income and tax it. So it's important to do a number of things to demonstrate that you're actually a Florida domicile resident. That's the primary benefit to people moving their residency to Florida is that we have no state income tax. The secondary reason would be if you're buying a home and you're converting that to your primary residence, you want to be sure to file for homestead exemption, and that is also a savings, and it's a savings in your property taxes. And there are some requirements for filing homestead exemption, and those include first of all owning a property here in Florida that you plan on making your primary domicile. And the rules are, if you own the place on January 1 of the year that you're filing for the exemption, you're good to go, and you have till March 1st to file for that homestead exemption with the county. But prior to filing for that homestead exemption, they are going to look for evidence that you're domiciled in Florida. And that evidence includes a series of criteria. And for example, do you have a driver's license in Florida? Did you actually declare domicile at the county? Do you have a voter registration in Florida? Did you register your vehicle in Florida? So all those things. So just looking at, say an example here, an individual knows that they own a home and they're going to own it on January 1. Say they bought it even before January 1. but they know that that's the measurement date is January 1. That is going to be the measurement date for filing a homestead exemption. You go in and you claim the exemption at the appraiser's office. They're going to want to see that you've filed for a Florida driver's license. They're going to want to see that you've, you had ownership on January 1 and you had voter registration and you have a vehicle registered. But you want to do all that before January 1. You want to do that before the end of the year, because that's what they're going to look at. You own the property as of January 1, and then all those requirements to show that you're domiciled in Florida should be done before the end of the year.
Well, the nice thing is, Craig, as you well know, our places where you go and you get your driver's license and the Secretary of State aren't crazy crowded. They do get crazier around these key dates, like before the end of April, those kind of key dates, obviously. So if someone's buying a house and they close on it in late November, early December, there's plenty of time to get all that done and to be able to, go in, get your voter's registration, get your new license, and get your cars registered. And that's one fell swoop at our Secretary of State.
Sure.
offices.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those are scattered across the county, in Collier County and or Lee County, where we service here in Southwest Florida.
Right. And when they make that trip to the appraiser's office, which there's 4 locations here in the county, you would, and that's that period between January 1 and March 1st, you would want to have evidence of that you've done those driver's license and voter registration, et cetera. You would want to go to the appraiser's office to file that homestead exemption, and that will benefit you in the future with the property taxes. In that, as a primary resident, you're limited. The county's limited to assess your property tax no more than 3% per year. In some cases, property values here in Florida obviously go higher than 3%, but the assessed value never goes more than 3% per year. And that's a very, if you're planning on being a long-term resident, that really can significantly reduce your property tax liability.
Absolutely. Craig, I think the biggest thing of what I heard with income tax and, making this your main domicile for homesteading is it all needs to happen before the end of the year, correct?
Well, it's a given that they own the property, so that's not something they have to run out and do, is buy property. But they would, yes, they're going to need to demonstrate evidence that they've made the effort to become a domiciled resident before the end of the year.
What we can do is we'll put a link below on, information about Secretary of State or the appraiser office, where those are.
Yeah, and collierappraiser.com will give a lot of bullet points on, and they'll have frequently asked questions
I love that.
on that webpage for filing homestead exemption.
That's awesome. Collierappraiser.com. Secretary of State offices will make sure that we get them down there. Craig, it is always a pleasure. What great information you are. And, at the end of the day, it's all about living in your dream place. And let's face it, if we can save some taxes, great reason to move to Southwest Florida. Until next time, thank you again, Craig.
Okay. All right, Mary. Have a great day.
I'm Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group at Premier Plus Realty, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Really Mary Show.